For the longest period of time, Ghana has been the leader in the production of cash crops like cocoa and cashew on the African continent. Currently, the country is touted as the world's second largest producer of cocoa after La Côte d'Ivoire. But the lack of attention and similar investments in the production of local staple food crops has led to Ghana's overdependence on the importation of food from its neighboring West African states. Now, what does the current state of insecurity and rise of terrorism in the neighboring countries mean to Ghana, and how can Ghana become self-reliant on her own food production in the wake of these insecurities? Trading activities between Ghana and her West African neighbors has over the years seen a constant growth. In the year 2020, Burkina Faso, La Côte d'Ivoire, Togo, Niger and Mali were listed as Ghana's top food trading partners in the sub-region respectively. Although Ghana exports to these countries, what is imported from them is mainly food. For instance, according to the chairman of the Ghana National Tomato Traders and Transporters Association, Ghana imports 90% of all fresh tomatoes produced in Burkina Faso. This amounts to approximately $99.5 million lost in trade to Burkina Faso every year. According to the Ministry of Food and Agriculture's market brief to the International Food Policy Research Institute, Ghana's local onion production falls short of her demand and has to be constantly cushioned with imports from Niger and Burkina Faso. The brief indicates that over 80 to 90% of all onions on the Ghanaian markets are imported. Other food commodities which are heavily imported from these neighboring countries include beef, maize, yam, and rice. The 2022 Global Terrorism Index indicates that 3 out of the top 10 countries with the largest increases in death from terrorism are in West Africa. They are Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. With Ghana importing food from these threatened countries, a great deal of attention has been drawn to critical industries such as the agricultural sector.
In recent weeks and months, the prices of food has sharply increased as several factors, including terrorist activities, is impeding the production and importation of local food items into Ghana. Now, in the wake of this, how can Ghana secure its food production?
A visit to Dobro, Blue Sky's vegetable farm, was necessitated in order to understand what is hindering the local Ghanaian farmer from increasing the production of their yields. Mauli Kumoji is a farmer and the supervisor at the Blue Skies vegetable farm in the eastern region of Ghana. He has been farming over a decade, although he assumed his current position in 2017. He attributes the agricultural success of the countries like Burkina Faso and Niger to the implementation of the extensive irrigation system, something that is virtually non-existent in Ghana. He further lists some reasons why Ghana isn't able to produce enough food for her own consumption.
From my experience, the number one challenge when it comes to farming in general, one, I would say our land tenure system or access to arable land for production. Secondly, our source of water. Vegetable production in general requires a lot of water. That's like the bloodline of the whole production, because they constantly need water because of their root system. Their root system is very shallow, so they need frequent watering. Thirdly, our inputs, the cost, the access. It's a problem in this country because from the fertilizers to the crop protection products, prices are skyrocketing. Access to them, quality products is a problem because there are a lot of fake products on the market.
These challenges have led to the hikes in prices of food items on the local Ghana market. At the beginning of the year, a box of imported tomatoes cost 250 cedis, but by mid-2022, the same box cost 1,500 cedis. Despite the recent devastating effects of the high inflation rate on economic activities, most traders attribute these hikes to scarcity because of the difficulty in crossing the borders to bring in food items due to heavy security presence and activities of terrorists. Mr. James Osei is an agribusiness lecturer at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Kumasi. He shares his view on the current state of affairs of insecurity on Ghana's borders and what that means to food security.
Once there is displacement, once there is that fear and panic, most of these farmers who ordinarily would have produced to be able to feed their families will no longer be able to do that, and therefore it affects their ability to cater for their families. And if it continues, then you know that when it comes to the nutritional status of these farmers and their families, it is nothing to write home about. Again, there will always be spillover effects from these neighboring countries, because we know that as a country, because we have not been able to produce enough, we rely on these neighboring countries for quite a percentage of the commodities that we consume in Ghana. It is unfortunate, but the reality is that we import tomato, we import onions, and a lot of commodities from our neighboring countries. But these terrorist attacks will make it impossible for them to produce at the levels that they will have exportable surpluses to export to Ghana. And that, to a larger extent, can also affect the food security status of Ghana.
To further understand the entire processes of the local agricultural sector, I met with Jeffrey Ntorinkanta, the Vice President of the Commodity Brokers Association of Ghana, CBAG. CBAG is a non-profit organization seeking to reform agricultural trade, improve the income and welfare of farmers, and other actors of the agricultural value chain in the sub-region. Since its inception in May 2019, they have engaged over 10,000 farmers and other stakeholders in Ghana's agri sector.
The main asset of the smallholder farmer is land. CBAG has been on a drive and a campaign where we are looking for support from agencies to assist us to register land for smallholder farmers in order for smallholder farmers to create equity out of the land. Consistently, what we've seen is that when we are able to organize these smallholder farmers and connect or assist them and bring them before financial institutions, rural banks, community banks, these community banks are asking for collaterals. But what is the asset base of these smallholder farmers for them to actually go in for collateral? And when we have conversations around even they presenting their land as collateral, these financial institutions, community banks and rural banks talk about the fact that the land is not what registered. So it has been problematic. And part of the intervention that CBAG and I'm sure other non-profit organizations out there have tried to do in the wake of limited funds being given to smallholder farmers has been to partner with agencies that can support with funding for us to be able to register these lands. Because beyond registering the lands to create equity out of it, it would also help for us to plot these lands through GPS, so that direct support that must go to the smallholder farmers can actually be mapped out. Then on a larger scale, we are able to analyze the data coming out of these farms.
Because the Ghanaian farmer still depends on the weather patterns to grow food, the routine has now become an adventure game, sort of, due to climate change.
Climate is changing drastically. It has changed over the last 5 years. So it's unable to help farmers to plan properly to produce. And most of us farmers are, we rely on the rain to do our production. So when the rain fails, it means our production is affected.
Most of our farmers are purely rainfall dependent. What that means is that if you go up north, the northern part of this country, farming can only be done once, and most of the energetic youths will have to find alternative means of livelihood. This cannot be a sustainable way to produce enough food to feed the teeming population of Ghana.
The growing concern of insecurity across Ghana's borders must be a call to action for immediate attention and investment to local staple food production. It will be disastrous if Ghana leaves her eggs in the baskets of her neighbors.
Terrorism is one act that really destabilizes economies. So it's going to affect their farmers. They will be unable to produce with the freedom and peace of mind they need, and that's going to result in, let's say, low yields, because you are not going to get much from these farmers, which is also going to affect us in the neighboring countries in general. So it's a cause for concern.
Ghana can ensure food security by one, scaling up support by way of input supply in terms of seeds to farmers. Two, cost of funding, capital to smallholder farmers must reduce dramatically. So deliberate efforts must be made to segment the food production sector from the general economy and make sure that specific funds are allocated to the food production center, so that the food production sector is still able to access funding in order to produce. Finally, I'll also add in Africa, agricultural insurance. It's something that is still evolving on the continent. Anytime we sit at the table with financial institutions, they talk about it, and we must see a deliberate effort to allow grants and other supports to come in to cushion the agricultural insurance sector in order to let them also issue out insurance guarantees to support smallholder farmers who are in cooperatives, like the ones we find that CBAG has organized and we deal with, in order for us to also bring down the cost of credit down. So really, we need national stakeholders, the non-profit stakeholders, and industry to all come together, because food is at the core of survival, and food forms the basis of the needs of every household. And the earlier we rally together, the better.
Ghana's agricultural sector has always been touted as the backbone to the country's economy. But in the wake of terrorist attacks, nothing should be as important to the government and all other stakeholders than boosting local production and ensuring that the people don't go hungry. Reporting for the Kente Business Journal, my name is Joseph Amuakwata from Dobro in Ghana.
Thank you very much for watching this video. Please do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel Kente Business Journal TV and visit our website on www.kentebusinessjournal.com for more information.